Okay, good evening, everyone. So I was just watching through all the presentations, and one thought that struck my mind when Sandhya was running that video. I just wanted to give you a small story, right? We are talking about digitization now in like 2019. Um, and in 2014, when I was working out of San Francisco, I had a colleague of mine. We both were traveling across one day. And it's usual, right? After people from Chennai, they pull up the phone and they speak. So while he was speaking on the phone, nothing happened. He just spoke and then he came back, And the next day, the hotel staff, they came running and they say that you've got a, challan from the police. He was like really shocked, what happened? And then when he opened the cover, they said that you have to pay about $500 as fine. So he was like looking at, where exactly, did I go wrong? What did I do? And, I had to go help him to the police station. Then they took, no, there was nothing, no, it was touchless, no human intervention, nothing at all. So there was a picture of him taken, it was matched. He had arrived about a week back. And then after that, they figured out the address. Everything happened without any human intervention. Then even the proof was taken, and with that, they were identified the address from Avis where the car was hired, and the challan was there. So, but the only human element was how much of negotiation was in terms of paying the dollars as fine. So, after a lot of, apologies, the judge said, it's okay, go ahead, not to do next time. So that's the story about digitization that happened in the US about 5 years back, and now we are, putting that in motion. With regards to the topic of the day, disrupt the disruptors. The theme I was looking at is, since most of you will be hitting, the job or, thinking of starting up and stuff like that, how you accelerate time. Accelerating time is the biggest essence, right? So I just wanted to, give you that flavor about how you innovate and things like that. And there's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence. I program managed artificial intelligence in 2014 for HP. I can tell you, there was an efficiency gains of about 1,000 people out of a total strength of about 16,000. There was nobody who was sent home. 1,000 people were reassigned to different roles, and the people who were sent home were the generals, the executives who were not able to cross-sell. So, so that's where it is. So you don't have to get a lot of fear about artificial intelligence. It's not going to cannibalize your roles. So let me go to the next slide. I'll just skip through the introduction. This is an interesting graph which I saw a couple of days that was released. I'm not too sure how many of you have seen it, but Saira, if you can just open up in YouTube, and just wanted to show you what from 2000 to 2018, which are the companies that, just increase the speed as well. Have you increased the speed? Yeah. Okay. Just watch out the companies. You can bring it further, it just might be it's taking a little longer, yeah. And leave it after 2015, just check out on Amazon. You're seeing Amazon just hitting at the roof. Yeah? Yeah, you can go to the slide. Thank you, Sarah. So the slide gives us an important, trend to us. People who were really the ones, in 2000 who were kind of, aspirational ones. The moment, Tarun was talking about Y2K, it was the company to look out for, HP and IBMs and all that to get into US. But the trend completely changed after these new age companies started coming in. Imagine HP is out, Nokia nowhere because they failed to understand. Ma'am was talking about Steve Jobs. In one of the interviews, Michael Dell, was bitten twice. Once when he called Steve Jobs and said, you know what, I'll close down the company and sell off the real estates and give it to the shareholders. And two, in 2006, when he came to India, he said, what is this smartphone all about? Anybody can hold this on the palm. So he kind of didn't see it, right? So no matter what one sees it, you have to be a visionary when you're at the top. So a stark reminder, if you are in the startup space, to look at innovation. With that, since most of you guys are Instagrammers, I had a very tech-heavy presentation. Then after looking at the morning session, I had to kind of remove a couple of slides and bring it more so that you guys are this is a generation of stories. You like to listen to stories, so I thought I'll share a couple of them. So exactly a week back, I was invited to speak at the Anna University in Chennai. Anna University is, very technical innovation hub. Relative compared to IIT Madras, where former President APJ Abdul Kalam was heavily, investing in showing direction. So there, it was a Google-sponsored event called TechStars. I happened to run into about two co-founders. And those two co-founders, was completely, they came up with a different rational ideas or irrational ideas, I would say. One was Isaac, who started the company called Ink Monk. I met up with him and during my course of the discussion, when I asked him, what is Ink Monk? He said, it's a printing company. What's that? I was a little curious, as Ink Monk, what is the connection? He said, it's just that, I wanted to try out. I called up 20 friends of mine. I said, I'm starting a company called Ink Monk. They said, no. Oh, is it? It's not Old Monk. No, it's Ink Monk. So, it really caught hold of the eye. And so he started this company in 2014 at a very, very early stage, right after his engineering. I asked him, what are you doing? He said, I disrupt printing. Okay, so printing what? You have a printing company or something like that? No, I said, no, it's a platform. I don't have a printing company. So as I began to speak to him, it was kind of extremely important how he innovated and disrupted. He hails from a deep south city in Tirunelveli. Tirunelveli is the southern part of Tamil Nadu. And so, he said the only people who, in Tirunelveli, when you say I'm an entrepreneur, they'll say, are you holding a Kinara shop or a Malagi shop? That's what they call it. So he was, giving that example of, after engineering, I was like, no, I don't want to get into all this. So his uncle started something, had a printing press. So he said, why don't I disrupt it? Right? And this was his thought process. And he was good in coding. So in his bedroom, he started this. He created a API, and based on that, the idea was to link all the corporates whenever they want to order, a Lanyards or a T-shirts or any fancy items, they should get the best rate, and they should have a solid amount of suppliers, so that they get it. And his idea was at its infancy, but he was thinking global. He was acting local but thinking global. So he said, I'm not holding this to just a few within Chennai or within India. I want to take this well further to global, so anybody in the world can order it. So he started making alliances with all the other companies, with all the courier companies and so on, right? And so he came up with this beautiful idea. And one day when Fresh Desk, is one of the unicorns that in Chennai, it's one of the unicorns that be hitting it. So when he went there to deliver, I believe in his shorts, right? It was late night, and fortune favors the brave. So Matra Budhan, who is the CEO of Fresh Desk, was getting to leave home, and he asked, what is this all about? He's like, these are T-shirts and Lanyards that I want to give it. So he said, okay, fine. So he said, I want the check. I said, come over. Then he signed the check and said, what is this? What are you doing? This is my company. He said, excellent. Why did you join me? He said, no, this is my passion. So this guy said, fine, let me be your angel investor, and he gave $250,000. And today that company is valued about 10 million, and he's been bought over. Someone bought over this, and he's like very happy about it. The next person I met in that conference is the Chief Innovation Officer of Satyam Cinemas. Satyam Cinemas in Chennai is a renowned brand, right? PVR acquired them. So I asked him, what did you do? What innovation do you do? How do you disrupt? He said, we wanted to disrupt the movie-going experience, and this started in 2004. When people come over to watch movies, we wanted them to give an experience taking care of having a play area for their child, for their children, and they can have a good popcorn, they can have a good restaurant. A wallet was created. You can just add cash, and then you can watch any number of movies. A lot of those innovation using design thinking, they kind of kick-started it, and today PVR wants to you leverage that into other areas across India. So that was the kind of innovation. So we are talking about good amount of, it need not be tech driven, but yes, today in the idea economy, right, in what you call a collaborative economy, a lot of speakers before me was speaking a lot about it. So it was more about how you collaborate and get it done, how your consumers change the track and make things happen. In the morning, some speakers said about 2 years is the kind of changes that will happen. In my opinion, it is not 2 years. It's like 90 days. Every CEO, CIO have to re-innovate 90 days. If not, they are done and dusted. You look at even in the Google Play Store, there are about 15 apps that are there for updation. You know why? Because that's the changing behavior. That's the changing mentality of the consumers. There's immediate instant gratification, that's currently on. People want to expect something really, better. They want better services at the lowest possible rate and so on, right? So these kind of innovations need to happen, and it has to be happening fast. Let me quickly go through with the rest of the slides, because these are the two important stories I thought you can take back home. One is the way the IT industry evolved, right? The first was around the mainframes, the second was in terms of the IT stack, and the third one was the globalization, outsourcing. After the formation of World Trade Organization, most of it happened. It evolved into a managing a mess for less. That's where we started. Huge, heavy labor labor-intensive work. But now we are coming to cycle 4, which is more of digital transformation. Today, with all the new age companies coming up, there's massive investments. Now, from an overall skill set standpoint, what most of you can take home with is, what are the emerging technologies? Now, most of you might be management grads, right? If you're a management grad, if you don't have to feel for, there's no technical, I don't have the technical capability, since I'm not coding, I might miss out the bus on the startup space. It's not like that. There's today it's a collaboration of art and technology. That's what is creating magic, right? The magic happens when both art, design, and technology come together. So you can focus on some of the non-technical, allied courses, especially design thinking, because design thinking is easy. You have to think with more of a human-centric approach, where you go ahead, ideate, innovate, and structure it. I think once you do that, you're able to create some of those next-gen startups. So some of the questions, one of the feedbacks which I find in today's people where they miss out is that asking the right questions, right? When you get your customers, your consumers, or your executives, the opportunity to miss out to ask the right questions is what is missing out. How do we probably identify the right challenge? Is there a challenge that I'm beginning to solve? So these are some of the questions that you can just trickle down in your mind, and ask them. Go well prepared whenever you get to meet some of those funding executives or angel investors, or even within the organization, because getting the right questions and clarifying it, helps close most of the gap. These are just another set of questions, comes out as a challenge. And this is the design thinking approach. Now, before you even start a specific challenge, how about solving a problem, looking at what exactly is the idea, what exactly is the solution. Majority of you all will be using phone pay, right? So the ID, if it was supposed to be copied, the transaction ID to the WhatsApp, it was earlier not there, but today you can go ahead and the moment you keep your finger on top of it, it says paste, or copy. So that's the kind of new thinking that one has to build. It's more of human-centric approach. It's no longer machines are there, but to curate those ideas, we need the brains that challenge the machines. Now, once you do that, the machines will definitely get you those desired results. But the challenge is we have to curate those machines to think alike. So a systematic approach is there, which I listed out. I don't have to go ahead and, it's self-explanatory. And with that, what you go ahead and do is you unleash creativity, you provide a return on investment, you kind of come up with really breakthrough initiatives. Some of the things that came out, during my experience with HP, it was a pure play transactional, non-technical environment. But some of the best ideas that were taken up to San Francisco, Palo Alto, and that was funded by, the CEO was from Chennai, Bangalore. These are the centers, who were non-technical, who were the disruptors. Disruptors don't come only from IITs or IIMs and so on, right? We found people on the grassroots. So as long as you're curious, as long as you're able to kind of identify the opportunity, as long as you're able to, connect the dots, you are an innovator. Innovation is not selected, resides in a few people, right? So that's the change that you'll be driving. See, a sample, right, of design thinking. How do you get the MRI department for, MRI scans are very scary for kids, right? What should you do as an outcome? You just redesign the experience, and then that's it. You're solving the problem because children, will be very happy to, take this up. This is my last slide. So any questions if you have on robotics, artificial intelligence, I'll leave my email. You can reach out to me and you can connect with me in LinkedIn. Definitely will look forward to clarify